Welcome back to the Fanspeak Network and another episode of Prop Party. That's right. We only have a couple prop parties left, but we have 2 games this weekend. We're going to find winners in just 1 minute. That's right. It's Thursday. We're down to our last few prop parties. We only have 3 NFL games left. I cannot believe it. I'm sad. Don't worry. We're going to be talking best ball starting next week. That's how I'll cope. But again, Steve and I's team is in it in the Final Four. It's unbelievable, mind-blowing. We're just going to enjoy it. But yeah, today, of course, we're talking alts. We're talking anytime touchdowns. We're talking parlays. I'm doing it with the guys that I talk with every Thursday, Tyler and Steve. And we're going to bring over the sports book in a minute. But first, I got to say hi to my guys. Tyler, how are you doing? How are you pumped up for conference championship weekend?
Yeah. I mean, divisional week kind of left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth with all those teams outgaining their opponent, looking like the better team and losing. But I mean, the Washington story is great.
Yeah.
I really thought the Rams were going to gut out that win, so it kind of sucks to see them lose that one. And then the Baltimore-Buffalo game. I mean, Mark Andrews, you should just retire at this point. Just
I feel so bad for him. I am so sad for him. I get sentimental this time of year when like something like that happens. You're like, oh, this poor guy's gonna be sitting with that all freaking summer long.
But these 2 games, they should produce. I think they'll be good. I mean, you get the divisional game 3 times with Philly and Washington. Normally that third game's pretty close, so hopefully we get an entertaining one there.
Yeah,
we all know what we're getting in the other one.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be a fun one, actually. I think we actually could see points. I don't know. We'll talk that through in a minute here. We got our guy, Rye Cape in chat. He says, what's good, Ty? Always good to see you in chat. We appreciate it. Be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. We may be ending the season, but we will have content to end the season, of course. We're covering, we covered, obviously, the guys covered the NFL betting card, and the guys covered the Battle Royale last night. You'll have DGen Dads tomorrow. We're obviously covering the props here. And then we'll have tons of content for the Super Bowl. But don't worry, then we're going right in. Steve and I just talked about all the exciting best ball content that's coming your all's way starting next week. The big board will for Underdog will release in probably a week or 2, and we are going to be right there with it. So best ball content starting next week. It doesn't end. That's how we get to go 365 days of NFL content. God bless. Steve, how are you doing? I know it's wild as Washington fans, been 30 some years, but how are you doing? And what are you thinking about conference championship weekend?
Yeah, doing well. Definitely excited. Like you said, it's been a long time. And also just, we've talked about before, it's just nice that they seem to have the right top of this team, the new owner, new GM, new head coach, Jaden Daniels has been incredible. And it's just, we've seen it go the other way a lot of times. Even if we have one of those pieces, like say a Mike Shanahan, quarterback, the owner, the GM.
Yeah. So the big 4. Yeah. It's exciting stuff. And to your point, Tyler, there's a great point about a lot of the teams outscored, the opponents and lost. Very interesting. But as we saw, turnovers are key. I mean, I shout out to Rich Rebar, Sharp Football Analysis, breaking down basically, you win the turnover battle in the postseason, you're looking pretty good to win. So that was obviously has been key. I believe it's 7-0 to the people winning to teams winning the turnover battle thus far in the postseason. And, that every now and then you'll see, a turnover, someone who loses a turnover battle would get there. But, that crushed obviously the Lions, the Ravens, that kind of stuff. So be interesting this week, what we see. We got an Eagles fan in chat. Right, both Steve and I are Washington fans. So
I'm pretty sure our guy Right Cape's from Philly. So
okay, so he's from Philly.
Perfect guy to have in the chat today for the Washington.
Exactly, he's from Philly. We're from Washington. Our parents were siblings. Obviously, our parents, are from Pittsburgh. Actually, I don't know if I've ever told you this, Tyler. Our dad was at the Immaculate Reception.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was at the Immaculate. Die-hard Steelers fan, grew up, but he moved to DC for a job, and he and my mom just instantly fell in love with Joe Gibbs era. So we were raised Washington fans. So yeah, right.
I mean, it's one of those things. Like he had the golden era of all the Super Bowls back in the 70s.
Yeah,
he kind of got out and missed the 2, but I mean, what's he missed since? You guys have more playoff wins since we've been to that Super Bowl we lost. It only
Yeah,
took
well, he
1
missed. I
year.
mean, he missed a lot in the or
The
excuse me,
Cowher era.
the Cower era, and whatever. So he's missed some,
He,
but
he missed his 2 Super Bowls. He got his 3 though, so he was content with that.
yeah, no, he had we had a fun 80s and early 90s, and hopefully we're getting back to that. So that's awesome. But people don't want to hear about our Washington love. They want to hear props. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over FanDuel Sportsbook, and we're just going to go game by game. There's only 2 games, and we'll look at the props and then look at what stand out to us. And then we'll do the same thing for anytime touchdowns. And then, of course, we're going to build a fun parlay. Let me see if I can make this screen a little.
Before we go into the props, Meg, I just had a question for both of you guys.
Yeah.
What do you guys think Detroit looks like now with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn gone? Do we think they go out and hire outside of the organization and try and bring guys in? Or do we think they go the route of, we like what we had in system and it worked, we're just going to promote a guy and hopefully we can stick to what we're doing?
I think I don't know who they have. Steve was probably the better person to ask this question to, because I don't know who they have underneath. Steve, do you?
Yeah. So I do think offensively, and this is this was the entire era under Dan Campbell, who was a former player himself, Ben Johnson actually being kind of the exception. So they've had a ton of former players in these key roles. Like their offensive line coach is Hank Fraley, longtime offensive lineman. Quarterback coach is Mark Brunell. Assistant quarterback coach JT Barrett, didn't really have a pro career, but big college career. But wide receiver coach Antoine Randall played for both Steelers and what was the Redskins at the time. I could see, kind of going in that range for, especially on offense, just when I think so much of the continuity is important. Defensively, there's some former players there as well. Sean Deion Hamilton, another former Washington player. Kelvin Shepard, Deshae Townsend. But I don't know. I wonder if they will go outside the organization defensively, just because I think Aaron Glenn, got the most out of the guys. They were just picking up guys off the street and throwing them in these last couple months. But maybe there's somebody that stands out. It's just some of those guys are younger, and I'm not sure they're ready for the jump. But we'll see. I do think one thing you have to give Dan Campbell for, they talk about leader of the men. He picked one heck of a coaching staff, top to bottom. So offensively, it wouldn't surprise me if they promote from within, maybe like a Randall or Brunell. Probably would be my top guesses there, but we'll see.
Yeah, it wasn't Ben Johnson. Didn't they fire the offensive coordinator in 2022 and then Ben Johnson took over? And wasn't he like tight ends or quarterback coach or something like that?
He was quarterback coach.
Yeah. So that promotion from within worked, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it is promoted from within or with outside the organization, and then who it is, and then deciding, then how we react to that. Of course, we care about our money and how we play it in fantasy, how we react to that. And by the way, when I said we're going to start best ball shows, we're also going to be doing a rookie series, a coaching change series, covering free agency. So we'll cover all the angles of off season, but obviously how that applies to, sure, down the road futures betting, but how that applies to best ball. So we will make sure to have you covered every which way, starting next week or the week after. But yeah, that content all starts next week. So I brought up, obviously, the first game starting at 3, Washington and Philly. I brought up where I thought we could just look, I'd read through, and then I don't know if you guys just wanted to call out if you see any lines that stand out, or then we just look at the lines, and then I go to each of you to say, okay, which alts do you want to look at? But if we're looking at the quarterbacks first, we obviously got a very low line for Jalen Hurts, which I know he hasn't been even close in the last 2 games, but the first game where he played against Washington, he did have well over 200 yards. He obviously got knocked out the second game against Washington. So you have Hurts at 179.5, Jaden at 222.5. Then rushing yards, Barkley, an enormous 125, though he rushed for almost 150 both times or more. Jane Daniels, 54.5, Hurts, 31.5, which is lower than typical, but of course we're dealing with the injury. Brian Robinson, 37.5, Eckler, 18.5, Gainwell, 14.5. Any lines jumping out to you for passing or rushing guys before I go on to receiving or touchdowns?
That's a really low number for a quarterback in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. I thought honestly,
I
kind of like
money at 200 yards is kind of wild.
Yeah, and it's not like the game before, it was against your Steelers, actually. The game before, the Washington game where he got knocked out, he threw for 280 against Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's no slouch of a defense. I know, they
The
have their
one
issues.
thing I will say about that game, like the little asterisk I'll put on it, that was the game you had AJ Brown and Devontae Smith kind of bitching about Hurts and throwing the
Squeaky
ball.
wheel. Yeah.
And the Steelers defense decided that they were going to stack the box and stop Saquon. So these guys were running man-to-man coverage downfield when they were going up against a game plan that wanted to throw the ball.
Right.
So they were kind of putting themselves behind the 8 ball to start. It's like, yeah, we stopped Saquon, but they didn't want to use him anyway.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm sure Dan Quinn's going to want to stop Saquon, but they're going to need, they're going to, if they, I don't think they're going to have a ton of success. Look what Gibbs, got like 9 rushing yards per carry last week. Quite honestly, they probably should have run Gibbs more. Our run defense is not good. So, yeah, I agree with you, Tyler. And I think Steve's in line here. The 200 kind of sticks out to me as like, you're taking a leap of faith that he is indeed healthy, but it's not like you're attacking a defense that's a tough pass defense either. Yeah, it's a little better with Lattimore. Mike Sandstro playing very well, but it still can be attacked. I mean, we gave up 400 plus total yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns last week. So it's not like this wasn't a defense that still was attacked. So yeah, we'll look at actual alt numbers in a minute. Anything standing out to you outside of course, I'd say Barkley longest rush or something. It's a massive number. Anything standing out to you in the rushing department for either of you?
There was one other one in the passing one before we get into the rushing that stood out to me. Hurts' interceptions plus 130.
Okay.
We know he's banged up.
Yeah.
He's taken a lot of bad sacks. I mean, that safety he took the end last game was absolutely terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say he doesn't get pressured and whip one into bad coverage? Like, we've seen him throw some bad interceptions this year.
Has he thrown it in the pit? Because I was reading the breakdown again. Shout out to Rich Rebar. Sharp Football breaks down, kind of every angle possible. And I know he's been pretty good with the ball as far as interceptions are concerned, but he's taken an exorbitant amount of sacks lately.
Yeah. But to Tyler's point, when he throws an interception, it's one of those ones where you're just like, what are you even looking at?
Right.
Like he didn't throw for many as a whole. But when he throws them, they're bad. And it's been, when he's under pressure, like he struggled with pressure, either taking sack or throwing that just awful pick.
I would say, I'll just say that I think Jaden's running more, but he hasn't got to this number either of the 2 games. To 2 playoff games. First game against the Eagles, he rushed for like 19 yards. Second game, 80 yards. But to Steve's point, I know Steve and I were talking about this pre-show. Washington was playing from behind that whole game. So, there was maybe that factored into it. Certainly that could play into it this week too. So I don't know if I see any massive edges other than maybe if you want to take a shot on Eckler or Eckler rush receiving. Gainwell certainly has been getting over his number quite a bit, though it's higher this week. Any other rushing lines stand out to either you guys?
Saquon's probably going over that number.
Oh, yeah, totally. I totally think he's going over that number.
The other thing I'd say about Saquon is I would probably look at it at a first quarter prop.
That's a good
I'd
one.
really be interested in attacking that.
So his first quarter rushing
28.5.
Yeah, but
yeah, and you do run the risk. Obviously, Washington gets the ball first. They have a long drive. So Philly only has 1 drive. But one he can get 28.5 in any singular run. He's got
his explosive runs. Yeah.
But I just think, given that Hurts is banged up, not that I don't think Hurts can get to the 200, but I think early on they might go Saquon heavy.
Right. No, I don't mind that. If you think there's a massive explosive run, you could even take some alts in the first quarter. We saw the last game, the first quarter, I know, because Steve and I had Saquon in, that was the best ball semifinals, right, Steve?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, week 16. And I needed a big Barkley game, and he just broke a long one in the first quarter. So they held him in the second quarter, mainly because I think they were playing Kenny Pickett. But I like the first quarter look. Okay, let's take a look at receiving. And then I think something stands out to me, touchdowns as well. So we've got AJ Brown, 16.5, McLaurin. I won't mention the hook. Terry McLaurin, 64, Devonta Smith, 48. Ertz 32, Goddard 40, Dimey Brown 44, Eckler 25, Barkley 12, Zacchaeus 21, Crowder 11, Robinson 6, Jahan Dotson 3. I'll go to you first, Tyler. Any receiving lines standing out to you?
That Eckler line's way too low.
Yeah, I love the Eckler. I love Eckler.
He had 8 catches the last time he played a full game against Washington, 89 yards.
Yep.
He might be the leading receiver for them because for as good as their receivers looked against Detroit, this secondary for Philly is way better. So they might lock down these receivers, and he might be doing a lot of underneath to Eckler, to Ertz. So I love the Eckler number. I might bet him up to 50.
Yeah, I like that. And I don't think they have the alts of it. We'll go to the alts in a minute. Right now, I think FanDuel's only offering 25, not 40 or 50. DraftKings, I think, likely is. Steve, any other receiving lines standing out to you?
So one, he doesn't get a ton of targets. He's not going to get the 8 targets that Eckler could get. But Saquon Barkley, was it 12 and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, so explosive. This is a guy who has longs on the year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games where the long is over 12 and a half. So one singular catch is that. And then, of course, he's gotten there in other games where he's gotten a couple catches and gotten over that line. So, 12 and a half for Saquon, I think, is very, very doable.
Yeah, actually, the 2 running backs are my 2 favorites as well, approaching it. And then I'll jump to passing touchdowns. This stands out to me. You got Jalen Hurts at plus 142, Jaden Daniels plus 130. I believe in the research I did, Daniels has 2+ passing touchdowns in the last 6 in a row. Can he do it again? I don't think he's getting 5 against this Eagles defense, but can he get 2? Yeah, I think he can, especially if we're playing from a negative game script. So I don't mind that, taking a shot on that. And then Hurts, yeah, it could be totally run heavy. But again, as you mentioned, Tyler, when we were talking about the quarterback passing, it also could be through the air, either to Saquon or AJ Brown or Devonta Smith or Goddard. So I just think those, I don't know, shouldn't be. You're getting a nice number on both of those. I'll go to you first, Tyler. What do you think of either of those?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the Hurts one better.
Yeah,
just because it feels like if Washington's going to throw 2 touchdowns, I think one of them almost has to come on like a busted coverage. Mm-hmm. Because if they drive down into the red zone, that defense is going to tighten up. I think it's going to be really hard to throw inside the red zone.
Right.
And it just feels like Jaden just eventually tucks it and runs it in.
Right.
That would be my only worry is he looks around in a short field spot and he's like, God, not open, but that lane to run's open.
Right.
And he just takes off. So that's my only worry with both of those guys is they both get down there. You have Saquon on one side who could just break through and run away with the ball. You have the tush push you have to worry about.
Yeah.
And Hurts could also tuck in and run. So that's my only worry there.
Yeah. Steve, any thoughts on either? One you like more than the other? Both? None?
Yeah, I mean, I actually like both. Daniels got 5 in the second matchup, 1 in the first one. Hurts, no touchdowns, given him getting hurt so early in the second game. And then the first game, they just he ran and Saquon ran, but he had 200+ yards. So, but here's the thing, like Washington has been susceptible. I mean, their secondary is struggling this year. Eagles, they did not play many games with all 3 guys, all 4, Brown, Smith, and Goddard, plus Hurts, all healthy. Mm-hmm. They're healthy the last couple of games of the year, but Hurts wasn't there. So I think that, yes, there's concerns that tush push and all that, but I honestly think it's a good parlay that I'm probably going to bet them both together, game plus odds, and
you get a 3-1. Like yeah, no, that's a fun little 3-1. Okay, now let's in this first game we talked through the passing, the rushing, the receiving, the passing touchdowns. Anything else, whether it's the alts? Now looking at alts. That's Eckler rushing, Eckler receiving. I believe it, and now that's Eckler receptions. Getting trigger happy here. Eckler receiving, they have not offered 40 yet on FanDuel. I do believe they have it. If you guys could check, I believe they have 40 and 50 up on DraftKings. Just for ease, I'm just because I think FanDuel's kind of cleaner that's why I brought FanDuel over to look game by game. But to Steve's point, if you want to take a shot on Barkley 25, which he got last week, which he got 52 in the first matchup against, and on only 2 catches, you're getting plus 260. So I don't mind that. And then I don't mind Eckler 40 plus, as Tyler said, 50 plus, as Tyler mentioned. He got 89 in the first matchup, so playing from a negative game script. So I think we're both interested in the running back receiving.
Meg, you said he only had 2 catches. Do you have his game log in front of you by chance?
Barclays?
Yeah. If not, I'll pull it up real quick. Just because I can't tell you how many times he does not catch more than 3 passes.
Right.
But he breaks those yards. And
but he breaks them, yeah.
You can do under 2.5 catches over 12.5 yards. That's plus 350. If you take out the 12.5 yards and go up to his alt of 25.
Yeah, I was just messing with that. Ooh,
you get it at 13-1.
Yeah,
I think those are worth it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that shot a lot. Let me go to receptions and just pull it up here. Yeah, there you go. Under 2.5 reception. He's had plenty of 2 catches for 25 plus yards several times this season. So one of them being, last week he had 4 catches, but in the first matchup against Washington, he had 2 catches, 52 receiving yards, I believe. So yeah, I think this is very live. We always love the anti-correlated stuff. So I like that look a lot. So, okay. So we talked through Eckler receiving, Barkley receiving. I love that anti-correlated that Tyler mentioned. Any other alts we talked through, and then of course we talked through, looking for Hertz 200. Let me get the number on that, because I think we all agreed that the 179 is too low, and I think the number you're getting on Hertz passing is for 200. You're getting plus 152 for 200. And again, shop around, get the best number. But to me, that's a great value. I like that a lot.
The number's 23.5 on FanDuel. It's 21.5 on Fanatics. Barkley's longest rush.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
How many times do we see him break through the level of the defense and just run away for 60 yards?
Oh, there again, the same article I was reading, Rich Rebar's article. He has the most, plus 50-yard touchdown runs, the most 20-yard touchdown runs. And like the next person is like behind him by like 4 touchdowns. Like he is like blowing away statistically, like these long explosive touchdown runs. So yeah, longest rush. I absolutely love that. So, okay. Tyler, in this game, anything else you see alts wise that you like?
No, I think that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, I think I like the ones that we covered though. So again,
I looked at the Eckler numbers on the alts. 40 is right around plus 260 and 50 is around 450. So I'll probably be in on those too.
Oh, I like that, laddering that up. Steve, are you interested in laddering Eckler up?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in laddering him up. One other alt I will mention, there's some risk due to the injury, but Jalen Hurts' rushing number is low.
Yeah.
And so you could go to 40 and get, let's see, it's plus 130 on DraftKings.
Plus 150.
This is a number he got 70 last week, 36 the week before, 41 in 3 carries against Washington before he got injured.
How many did he have in the 3 carries?
41 in 3 carries before he got injured.
Right.
He has plenty of games just under at 39, including the other Washington game. But it's just that I definitely like his prop there. I forgot to mention it earlier. And it's one I wouldn't mind taking to 40.
Yeah, we're getting a discount on it for sure because of, you guys speculate that, okay, he's healthy enough to do it. And how many times have we seen these guys in playoffs? I mean, I remember 2 years ago when Mahomes was injured, I wasn't touching any of his props and wasn't playing in DFS, and he just, went nuts. I mean, these guys, the adrenaline, the drugs, they're playing through these injuries. So just to summarize again, we liked Eckler alting it up, laddering it up, 40, 50. We don't mind. Barkley, 25 receiving. Steve mentioned the Hertz 40 rushing. I actually don't mind Jaden 225 passing. We're potentially interested in 2+ touchdowns for each of them. Tyler talked about the anti-correlated under 2 receptions for Barkley, 25 or more. You're getting 13-1. So a lot of fun stuff here. While we're here, let's just look at touchdowns here. Obviously, Barkley is heavily juiced at minus 250. Then you got Hertz minus 135. AJ Brown plus 140. McLaurin 140. Devonta Smith 185. Brian Robinson 195. Jaden 210. Ertz 280. Goddard 300, Eckler 320, Diamond Brown 320, and I'll leave it at that. Tyler, I'll go to you first. What touchdowns are standing out to you?
Of course, we could go with these normal price guys, but I really think that there's a chance Philly kind of just blows Washington out on Sunday.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Gainwell's 10-1 to score a touchdown.
Oh, wow.
If this game's out of hand, Barkley's done.
Yeah.
So, like, that just feels like a number that you kind of just put in your pocket
Yeah.
and just hope the game goes the way you want it to. Or
Right.
they just get a game, you get a drive where they get down the field, and Barkley's the main reason why they got down there.
Yeah, he needs a
And now he
breather.
needs a drink and he got to go take a break. So I don't hate that one. But A.J. Brown at plus 140,
Yeah, getting
that just feels like a spot we have to bet. Normally he's right around like minus 110, plus 110.
Yeah.
Now he's had 2 quieter games.
Mm-hmm.
This just feels like a spot where they lob him up a ball. He catches a touchdown against Washington's defense. So he would be my lower odd guy, but I'm going to put that Kenny Gainwell ticket in my pocket.
I like it. I like it. Those are fun ones. Steve, what do you got?
Yeah, and first let me say I really like the A.J. Brown call. He's destroyed Washington historically, and I do think whether they need him because it's a close competitive game or they're behind, or even if they're ahead, even in that scenario where they're blowing out or just comfortably ahead, I do think they're going to want to get Brown and Hurts going for the Super Bowl. So yeah, I think there'll be some options there.
No, I think there's some narrative there too. You don't want a squeaky wheel situation going into this. Yeah, go ahead.
The other one I'd point to is Dallas Goedert. He's not historically had the greatest red zone usage, but tight ends can beat Washington. We saw last week Laporta with the touchdown and good tight ends.
What a catch, by the way. That was insane.
Our parlay was so close last week.
Oh, that's right. I know.
All the tight ends were scoring, and then Mark Andrews ruined us every different way.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. You guys nailed that. And by the way, we did hit the low lines one of Eckler 25, likely 40, and there was one other one. But yeah, no, when we talk through parlays in a minute, yeah, you guys are right on that. Go ahead. Steve.
But just to go back, like we've seen tight ends throughout, and sure, there are some teams that just don't really utilize tight ends. But even when Jake Ferguson was out, Luke Schoonmaker got us. I mean, Kyle Pitts, who anyone who is betting or fantasy guys get all the talent in the world, not very great. Week 17 had a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Tight ends have hit us hard, and when they're theoretically targeted, I can see Goddard. Coming up big here.
I like that. I'll just throw out 2 other ones. Zach Ertz has had an insane red zone role. People were writing him off beginning of the season. He has been Jaden Daniels' guy in the red zone. I mean, so is Terry McLaurin, broke the all-time Washington franchise record. So that was awesome because Terry is my favorite player. But Zach Ertz has been his go-to guy. Actually, very high in red zone targets for amongst tight ends all season. But in the last 8 or 9 games, a ton of red zone targets, a ton of red zone touchdowns. We know he had 2 week 17. Helped Steve and I make some money in best ball. But he has had a ton of, and he had a touchdown last week. So Zach Ertz at 280. And then if you think Eckler could get loose, 320, I don't mind that either. Don't really see it on the ground, but if you think he could get loose in the passing game, on a check.
I don't mind the Jaden Daniels at plus 210 either. That's
exactly
a little wide for him.
A little long. Yeah. I was going to say 210 for, him being willing to run inside the red zone for sure. So, or potentially a long scramble. Yeah. I like
Daniels has been stopped short the last couple games.
Right.
So yeah, he easily could have had one in any of these games.
Yeah.
One thing I will say I do like is I think given his general role, again, another area where I think the injury is playing into Hurts' number being, just minus 115 on DraftKings. Not sure what I see there.
It's minus 135 on FanDuel.
Yeah. So DraftKings, it's a little bit better. But I mean, this guy had, especially per game, almost as many touchdowns as Saquon Barkley. Why are their touchdown numbers not the same?
We're getting an injury discount on all of Hurts.
I know, and the thing I will say is, even after the knee injury, the Eagles tried a tush push, would have worked, but there was a penalty that called him back. Easily could have had a touchdown. He had won the long run rushing touchdown, but almost had a second one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Got to say hi to our guy, Tim in chat. He says left hand up. Commanders like that. Zach Ertz is a time machine. Absolutely. Still definitely have turned back the time playing against his old team. Yeah, one of his old teams here. Definitely. And he definitely doesn't like Sirianni, if you want any extra narrative there. Or very competitive with Sirianni, I should say. No, I like all those touchdown calls. You guys ready to check out the game too?
Let's do it.
Yep. Let's do it. Okay. So going to the Chiefs Bills at Chiefs. Obviously, we've got a 47.5 total. Bills are, just slight underdogs here now at minus, or excuse me, plus 1.5. So looking at the props market, I mean, this one's much harder for me as far as like there's so many different targets on both teams, and there could be a guy like a Amari Cooper or Curtis Samuel that pops, but you're not getting consistent routes run. DeAndre Hopkins hasn't run many routes, so there's not a lot there, like as far as like data to say like routes run and targets and that kind of stuff, because both these teams just spread it out outside of their main one or two guys. So if you're looking for discounts there, I think it's gonna be tougher, but let's go through quick and then let's talk some odds. So passing, we've got Mahomes at 249, Allen at 230. Rushing, I'll go through these quickly and then we can point out which alts we really want to target. Allen, 47, Mahomes, 24, Cook, 55. Obviously, I'm not mentioning Hook. Pacheco, 32, Kareem Hunt, 35. Worthy, if you think you get a little end around some plays in the run game, just needs over 3.5 yards. Then receiving, Kelsey's the highest, obviously, playoff Kelsey narrative went for over 100 last week, 67. Worthy, 49, Shakir, 55, Marquise Brown, 36, Dalton Kincaid, 35, Amari Cooper, 17, Keon Coleman, 20, Noah Gray, 14, Hopkins, 24. This is where we get into a ton of different targets you can go around. A lot of value you could target, but who? Harder to tell. Hopkins, 24, Dawson Knox, 15, Curtis Samuel, 14, and James Cook, 12. And then passing touchdowns, you are getting plus odds on Josh Allen, 2 touchdowns. Now I know they've been run heavy. I know they were run heavy last week. He scored 2 rushing touchdowns himself, but I looked at it, and if you don't count week 18, which Josh Allen just played the first snap or whatever to say he started every game, keep that streak. 18 games played this season. Josh Allen has, I believe, 9 or 10 of 2+ touchdowns. So even though if you want to go into that run heavy narrative, I believe he has 10 out of 18 2+ passing touchdowns. Historically has done very well against the Chiefs in the air, on the ground. So I don't mind this look. What do you guys think of this? And then we'll go into other alts. Tyler,
go, Steve.
Yeah, no, I do generally like this game to go over both sides probably. So yeah, I like Josh Allen with the 2+ touchdowns for sure. I just think a lot of points, and I think we've seen these two guys before. I know there's some different pieces around them, but it's not going to shock me if we see a bit more of a shootout, even though Kansas City's defense is pretty good. Allen has consistently played some of his best games against Kansas City, mostly in the regular season, but of course that divisional round game a couple years ago just went off the charts.
Yeah, that was bonkers. Okay, I'll go to you first, Tyler. After reading all those numbers, and again, it's more, spray and pray with all the different receiving options on both these teams. Obviously, you have kind of the alphas for both teams. What lines stand out to you that you want to maybe target their alts?
That Pacheco line feels really, really, really low.
It's wild. It's just like
if you just throw out last round, when it's like they couldn't run the ball against Houston, regardless of who was running it. Hunt had 8 carries to Pacheco's 3. That's only 11 carries split between them. I think Worthy took 1 or 2 and Mahomes took 1 or 2. They kind of abandoned the run last game.
Yeah.
32.5 is really low on a guy whose defense has been susceptible to the run all year.
Yeah.
I will probably be on him up to about 60. I'll probably be on his touchdown. It just smells like a spot where he's going to break through, run for a big one, maybe get you a 20, 25-yard run. And that 32.5 is going to be sitting good for you. So I like that one. And Worthy's number seems really low in this matchup, too. He was the guy in the first game.
Yep.
He's a tough cover because he's so fast. And if anyone's got plays drawn up for them in a game that matters, it's the fastest guy on the field. I can see him
going up to 60
plays. I think it's going to be a Worthy and a Pacheco day.
Okay. Do you like going up to 60 with Worthy? You get plus 144 there. Okay.
I would even take it up to the 70, maybe the 80, seeing those numbers.
Yeah, 70, 220. That's what's fun to use the visuals here. 80, 325 on FanDuel again, shopping around. We're just using this because it's nice and clean to look at. Okay, those are your favorites in this game. Steve, what are your other favorite alts in this game?
So
and don't take mine. I know you know I have one.
Before we get to alts, I do want to say, speaking of Worthy, I also like his rushing prop.
Yeah, 3.5.
Last week he only had one carry, was for -8 yards, but before that, in the regular season, 2, 3, 3, 1 carries, 10, 10, 35 yards. Basically, anytime outside of last week, because you said the prop was 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5.
Anytime he got a carry, there were some games he didn't get carries, but anytime he got a carry, there's 3 games, including last week, that he was 3 yards or under. So any other time he's getting at least 5 yards, if not 10, 20, 30, etc.
I mean, it's not available now on FanDuel, but check DraftKings usually it has it more readily available, the rush receiving for receivers. Check his rush receiving, because boy, did that burn the hell out of me with JMO last week. I was all over JMO's alts. He got 90 plus yards, but it was mostly rushing. It was like 17 receiving and like, 70 some rushing. So, if you want to take a shot on some plus odds, you could do rush receiving, and it kind of protects you either way. Especially in the case of Worthy, when the rushing line's so low here. So I don't mind approach it that way. In case he does explode for one, then you might be able to hit the alt a little stronger. So I like that. What else do you got, Steve?
So, and I love Worthy's receiving as well.
Yeah.
Kelsey, I don't mind either. What's his receptions prop?
His reception, well, I'm on his alt right now. If you want to get plus odds, you got to go to 8. And then
7,
his receiving, that's 7's juiced. Receiving, I think you go to 70, you get -104.
Yeah, so I probably wouldn't do much beyond 70 or 7.
Okay.
But I don't mind 8. I will say, as we saw last week, he dominated targets. Playoff Kelsey, it's a thing. Like, they need to win, and it is. And we saw it in this Bills game, this matchup last year in the divisional round. Kelsey had a monster game against the Bills.
Yeah.
Bills are banged up in the secondary. I know he didn't have a great regular season game, but I just think we throw that out.
Okay. So 70 is -104 again. Shop that around. What else do you like?
And the other one that I will point to on the other side, Khalil Shakir, I don't mind him up to 60 and even 70. He's their chain mover. He's their, underneath the guy. Josh Allen, definitely his favorite target. And I think you can, that's also, I know you can tech the Chiefs via the tight end, but I also think like some slot receivers have gotten them, guys like that who just get open underneath, and that's Shakir's role.
Yeah, 6 receptions. So he's kind of a 6 for 60 guy, like that's why in DFS, I think you could fade him because, he's not like an explosive receiver. Like you said, he's the chain mover. So I don't mind 60 at plus odds. And I also don't mind if you'd rather approach it 6 receptions plus 114. That either one is fine with me. So my one that I like the most is, I've talked about all season. Again, we have one of our Dove Club subscribers has talked about all season target tight ends against the Chiefs. Last time Kincaid was out, Dawson Knox went 40 yards against the Chiefs. Here's the deal. They're running in the same amount of routes. Actually, last week in the playoffs, Knox had one more route than Kincaid. They both caught 2 catches last week. Kincaid has been a massive disappointment this year. Hasn't gone over, I think that some stat has been floated around this week, like 50 some yards this season. Just wildly disappointing. Maybe he's the guy, but you get a much better number. See the difference between Kincaid, if you want to alt it, Kincaid 225 is -240. Kincaid 40 is +110. He doesn't, there's plenty of games where he doesn't get 40 and, and even in this good matchup, I'd rather attack Dawson Knox 25 yards +172. So that's one of my favorite ones in this game. Attack tight ends against the Chiefs. I'll take the lower tight end, who's quite familiar, good friends with Josh Allen, 25 yards, Dawson Knox, because they're running the same amount of routes, getting around the same amount of targets. What do you think about that, Tyler? Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, you're on mute, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's my bad. But yeah, definitely want to stay away from Kincaid. I would go Knox.
Yeah.
I drafted enough of Kincaid in fantasy to know how bad he's been this year.
It was brutal.
And he just doesn't seem like, I don't know if he's just going to take longer to develop into an NFL player. He just doesn't seem like he's really big enough to be a tight end. He's too slow to be a wide receiver. So
It's
Just
just been a
doesn't really
massive
fit.
disappointment. I think everybody thought, okay, in this situation, he could just be that Kelsey role for Josh Allen. It has not worked out that way at all.
Yeah.
Steve, I know you like this one too, right?
Yeah, I do. I think the gap between the two, it's a clear price.
Yeah, it's a price. Yeah, it's a price move for
mistake.
sure. We got to
think-
say hi to our guy Jamie in chat. Jamie does shows with Tyler and Spread on Tuesdays, and check out their NFL betting card from this week. We'll have their picks up on the sheet soon. So he says, "What's up, guys? Love the worthy call too. Always good to see Jamie and everybody chat. We appreciate you." What were you gonna say, Tyler?
Who realistically has shots to lead this game in receiving outside of catching a 90-yard bomb and somehow getting to the top of the list? There's probably 3 guys, right?
Worthy,
Kelsey, Shakir, and Worthy.
Mhm.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
If we fade Kelsey, you can get Shakir at plus 330 and Worthy's plus 410.
Oh, I like Worthy.
I
A
don't
lot.
hate betting
What?
on both.
Yeah,
And just
I think Tyler's
crossing your
betting
fingers,
both.
Kelsey doesn't do what he did last week.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, the only other is like a fluke thing where Keon Coleman catches a bomb or two, or
Mike
you know,
If you're
Kurt
worried, Meg,
or Brown or
17 to 1. Like, you're getting big numbers on these guys.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And those are fun bets to approach. I mean, of course, we'll talk about a lot of those. You know, there will be plenty of exotic looks that we can look at for the Super Bowl. But, you know, now that we're down to 2 games, taking shots on those kind of things are a lot of fun. So I love that call out, Tyler. Anything else on this game before we look at touchdowns? And don't worry, then we'll still talk some parlay talk.
I mean, I had to go look now that I looked at the most receiving.
Yeah.
Most rushing.
I mean, if it's not Saquon.
James Cook, plus 120. This is just the Buffalo game. James Cook, plus 125. Josh Allen, plus 220. Kareem Hunt, plus 470. Isaiah Pacheco, plus 550. I'm going to bet that plus 550.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so wild to me that I thought he would be better coming off the injury. So having such a long rest, it was so wild to me that Hunt got so much last week, but it wouldn't shock me either way this week. I think Andy Reid likes both of them. It's just, but it's definitely worth a shot when you're getting 4-1 on Hunt, 5-1 on Pacheco.
Yeah,
so
those are big numbers. I think
especially when Pacheco is such an explosive runner. I mean,
right.
We've seen it in past years. Hunt still might beat him in carries, but if Pacheco gets that 50-yarder, that could make him as top rusher for sure.
All right, so I brought over the touchdown props. Fun thing about here, and again, shop it around. I just have pulled up FanDuel. On FanDuel, Josh Allen's minus 115, but everybody else you're getting plus odds. Kelsey 120, Cook 150, Hunt 165, Worthy 195, Pacheco to Tyler's point 220, Shakir 240, Brown 260, 330 for Hopkins, Kincaid 330, Coleman 350. I mean, they have so many damn receivers. It goes down 5-1, 550 for Cooper, Mahomes 550, Noah Gray 550, Mac Hollins 600, Ray Davis scored last week 7-1, Dawson Knox 7-1. I mean, you can have some fun with some long shots here. Tyler, what are your favorites?
Tell me this game doesn't have the making of just all the lower end guys scoring the touchdowns in this one.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
Sure.
Yeah,
like Justin Watson, for instance, 13-1. He will be on the field at some point in this game.
Yeah. Same with Juju. Juju gets that.
Juju's 10-1. Like, these guys are gonna run.
Juju ran the same amount of routes as Hopkins last week.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's just, that's what's so crazy to me. The Cooper, the Hopkins, they get these names and then when you play off, you're like, oh, okay. When it comes playoff time, they're going to just be unleashed. And we did not see that last week. So it'll be interesting to see this week. Any other long shots or touchdowns before I go to Steve, Tyler?
That would be my long shot in that game. Will be taking a shot on Justin Watson or maybe even a Noah Gray at plus 550. He had 3 catches last week. If they key in on Kelsey, we know they run 2 tight end sets. He will be on that field also.
Yep.
But I'm just going to stick to my 2 guys in this game because I just think it smells like the script is going to be for them in this one. Give me Worthy and give me Pacheco.
Okay, so Pacheco, again, shop it around 220, Worthy 195. All right, like that. Steve, what do you got?
I'll give my long shot first. Dawson Knox.
Stealing mine again. No, I took it for 30 yards. You could take it for
and
that.
Then the other Buffalo long shot would be Ty Johnson.
Yeah.
If Bills are behind, Ty Johnson will see more work.
Yeah.
And especially, I know Ray Davis came in and got the vulture touchdown last week. But
Yep.
Ty Johnson, I think the offense system's going to trust. This is a major playoff game. I just expect Ty Johnson to get a little bit more work behind Cook this week. And then the other, if I had to take a Chief long shot, it honestly would be Juju. Like you said, he's running the same number of routes as Hopkins. He's got some history with Mahomes, and it's not pretty. But if somebody's going to pop off, I'd rather. I know it sounds crazy, but I'd rather take Juju versus Hopkins because you're getting like 3 times the money, and if they're running the same number of routes, give me that.
That's insane. I know it's wild, but yeah. Okay.
Now, as for regular, even if Travis Kelce doesn't get there in terms of yards, I'm betting he gets a touchdown. And what does it say on FanDuel? I'm trying to look.
120. He's plus 120 on FanDuel.
125 on DraftKings, so slightly better. But for a guy with incredible touchdown odds, I like that.
I like that.
On the Bills side, obviously Josh Allen, but if he's going to throw for one, I like Keon Coleman.
I like that for Keon, and you're getting plus 350. I'm not sure what it is on DraftKings.
Plus 360, so roughly the same, but slightly better.
I like that. I mean, there are a lot of ways you can look at it, but to Tyler's point, this is a game that it just smells like. I mean, I don't mind Josh Allen. I think he's going to do the Superman thing like he did last week. He's going to run it around the goal line. But I mean, there's so many long shots that you can call here. And to Tyler's point, I think we could see like 3 long shots. I mean, think about it. If you did like this is insane. This would speak to the whole two passing touchdowns, but like a Coleman, Knox, and what was Noah Gray? I mean, it's insane. It's 250 to 1. Like, I mean, it's unlikely, but I mean, you can have some fun with that, just sprinkling that. So yeah, I love the Dawson Knox call. I mean, this would be likely another passing touchdown, or it could be like an end around if you want to get creative. Curtis Samuel, 850. He scored in the Denver. He had a long bomb in the Denver game, right? Was it? Or was it a long man? Yeah, a long touchdown in the Denver game. So you get 850 there. That's my long shot. And then, I'm going to stick with Worthy as just finding the end zone at almost 2 to 1, plus 195. I know you guys mentioned that, but I'll go for that for the Chiefs side. And then, for the Buffalo, likely side, is Josh Allen plus odds on DK, Steve? Or
minus 115.
Okay, so he's minus 115 on both. But shopping around, you may be able to find plus odds or even money somewhere. But yeah, here we're getting wild here before we talk parlays. I'll go to each of you. If you could pick 2 guys on the slate of the 2 games, 4 teams that score 2 touchdowns, and it could be long odds, short odds, whatever, that you would parlay together. 2 guys scored 2 touchdowns on Sunday. Tyler, who are
they? Probably Hurts. Give me Hurts and Worthy.
All right, let's have some fun. Let's just check this out. So Hurts. Oh no, that's I went to the parlay builder, but I went to the anytime. Let's go 2 touchdown builder. Let's do Hurts, almost 5 to 1. Worthy, 17 to 1, 105 to 1. Steve, that's Tyler's. I'm gonna put these. I gotta write these down. I gotta put these all in. Steve, what's yours?
I think a fun one would be to do Allen and Hurts. The 2 quarterbacks, the two quarterbacks who get touchdowns like running backs do.
Yep. Okay.
I know it's not as spicy, but I think it's very, very.
I was very close to hitting one of these last week, and I feel like I should have. I had Saquon and Derrick Henry.
Yes, I had that too. I bet
me and my buddy sat there and went through every sportsbook in PA and figured out which one had the best odds on it and bet it. Derrick couldn't get in for that second one.
Oh, so close too. Yeah. Oh, I had that exact one too. I got there both to score touchdown, parlayed them together for plus odds. But yeah, I had the 2 touchdown one exactly on it. So, all right. I'm going to go chalky in the Eagles game. I'll go Saquon, and I'll just go Kelce here. It's not as fun at all, but we'll do a more chalky one here. So okay, so now we've covered alts, we've covered touchdowns, we've covered 2 touchdowns, parlays. You could any which way you want to approach it. Tyler, I'll go to you first. What's your favorite parlay on the slate?
My favorite parlay would probably, it's a simple one. probably just be Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown and Jaden Daniels to score a touchdown. You get plus 430 on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So go to that game. We just throw together these touchdowns. So Hurts and Jaden is, yeah, I like that. Hurts anytime, Jaden anytime. All right. That is Tyler's parlay of Conference Championship Sunday. Steve, what's your parlay of Conference Champ? Well, I know you mentioned, I don't know if you want to do this again, but I know you mentioned 2 touchdowns for both, passing touchdowns for both of them. You could do that, or you could do something else. But what was the odds on that? Were like what, 3 or 4 to 1 too?
Like almost 3.5 to 1. Yeah.
Okay.
But what I'm going to point to is also a same game Washington Eagles parlay, and I'm going to do Jalen Hurts 200 yards.
Like that.
And I like Jaden Daniels for 225.
Like that.
I'm going to take Austin Eckler 25 receiving. And then, that's very simple. But where I want to do, push it a little bit is with Saquon.
25 receiving.
Yeah.
There you go. You get almost 14 to 1. So I like that a lot. Hurts 200, Jaden 225, Eckler 25, Barkley 25, 13 to 1.
14 to 1 on DraftKings if anyone's line shopping.
Okay. Like it. I like that a lot. Okay. I'm going to do something similar, but I'll do it on DraftKings with 40 plus, but Eckler 40 plus. Right now I'm just putting 20 plus. Saquon 25 plus. Where did I lost this? And then give me Knox 25 plus. I mean, you could do 25, 25, 25, but I'm getting greedy here. And I think as we all talked about, we like Eckler at 40 or 52. So I will likely push this at Eckler 40. We'll just see what it comes out with here on FanDuel. Again, shop it around as you're building it. Dawson Knox receiving is what I'm looking for. There it is. 25 plus 172, 14 to 1. So 25, 25, 25 for Knox, Eckler, Barkley, 14 to 1. I'll likely bump up at least a version of it with Eckler 40 plus to get a little better odds there. Have some fun. I like that. Now we got to build a show same game parlay too, guys. Are we getting nuts, or are we, we built 3 fun ones. We each built 3 fun ones. We built 3 fun ones of 2 touchdowns. How do you guys want to approach this as far as a fun show parlay to share on Twitter?
Well, want to both pick 2 props we each like, one from each game?
Oh, I like that. Okay, Tyler, you go first.
I'm going to go with the Eckler over 25.5 receiving.
Okay.
And the Pacheco over 32.5 rushing.
Okay, let me get down to that. Rushing. And give me a minute, Steve, and then I'll get yours. And again, shop this out, wherever you can get the best price. I'm just building it on FanDuel for fun here. But I'll shop it out and then I'll tweet it out once it's set. So we'll go to the line of Eckler 25.5 receiving. Let me get that. All right. So we got Tyler's too. Steve, what are your 2? Start with the Eagles game since I'm here.
Eagles game.
Eagles. I should say start with the Washington game.
Yeah. It cut out for me for a second. Tyler did Eckler 25.5.
Yes.
Or 20,
yes.
25. My favorite Eagles, this isn't going to spice it up, but I want something that gets through. I'm just going to do Saquon. Actually, no. Why not? I'll go back to the Jalen Hurts 200. I keep looking at that as just being criminally low.
Okay. I like that. I think it makes sense. Okay. So Jalen Hurts, you're getting plus 152.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Bills Chiefs. What do you got?
And like I said, Tyler cut out when, so what did
he say? He did Pacheco 32.5 and Eckler 25.5.
I'm going to do Worthy. I was considering his rushing, but I'm just going to do 60 receiving.
Okay. So we got worthy 60 receiving. Okay. So now it's my turn. All right. I'm going to do, I mean, I could go 25, but I did that for the 25, 25, 20. I'm going to take Knox at his line at 12.5. Let me find while I'm here the the receiving line for Dawson Knox, which is only, and lines may move here. Oh, sorry, it's 15.5, but I still like it. I'm going to take Dawson Knox 15.5, and I'm going to take, let's see, what do I want in the Washington game here? We can't parlay longest rush, can we? Right? I don't believe you can. Can you on other books? I don't believe you can. If you can on DraftKings, then
I know you can do longest reception on FanDuel. You can't do longest rush. No, you can't.
No, you could, because if I try to do longest rush, yeah, it says it can't be combined. It would be longest rush. It would be what I do in this game. I mean, it kind of is like duplicating my low odds one, which we took Eckler, Knox, Barkley receiving and pushed them to 25 or 40 in Eckler's case. Steve already talked about Eckler. I did Knox, and I'm just going to take Saquon at his receiving line. I'll do that. So let's see. We've got 12.5. So we got almost a 50-1. Let me read it here. So we got Eckler, 25.5 receiving. Hurts, 200 plus passing yards. Barkley, 12.5 receiving yards. So those were each of our 3 for game 1. Game 2, Pacheco, over 32.5 rushing yards. Worthy, 60 plus receiving yards. Knox, over 15.5 receiving yards. And you get almost 51. We'll shop it around. We'll put it in. We'll tweet it out. It'll, of course, be on Dub Club as well. This has been fun. So check out Dub Club, link at the bottom, or go to the homepage of Fanspeak, because we're still going to be putting, having a bunch. We'll send out all these bets, obviously, by Saturday, and we will, and parlays, of course, for both games on Sunday. And then we'll have a ton for Super Bowl. So check that out. All right, guys, final thoughts. Down to 2 games here. Final thoughts, Tyler.
Final thoughts? I mean, the season went by so fast.
Too fast, I know.
Way too fast. I mean, college football ended in the blink of an eye, and now this seems like it's going to. I think we're getting a rematch of a few years ago, though, so I think we're getting Eagles Chiefs.
I don't want that, but I think
it's a great story for Washington. You guys are in a great spot for the next few years.
Yes. If
you guys somehow, some way get there and lose, it's like, now the only thing you guys can do from here is win it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, the future is bright, and I'm just hoping no matter what happens this weekend, we have a lot more NFC championships.
There was a Pittsburgh beat reporter. He said he was like the ideal scenario, which is just not the ideal scenario. Quarterback injuries happen to both Philly and Buffalo in these games, and they both squeak out wins, and we get a Mitchell Trubisky versus Kenny Pickett Super Bowl.
Oh my God.
Backups.
Oh my God. Holy shit.
Wow.
That would be the ultimate nightmare.
That would be the worst Super Bowl I've ever seen.
That would be the worst Super Bowl ever. Let's hope everybody stays healthy. Everybody stays healthy, and definitely not that. Definitely not that.
Nobody wants to watch that. That would be worst case scenario.
That is terrible. That is terrible.
Oddly,
we'll be watching the other football if that happens.
Oddly, the flip side of that would be Wentz versus Mariota.
Oh my gosh, that would be
so
two former Eagles backups.
Second overall picks.
That's true. That's true. Nobody wants to see that either. Nobody wants to see that.
We need the elite quarterbacks on the field.
Yeah. Let's keep everybody healthy. And get a good Super Bowl matchup. Hopefully not Eagles Chiefs, but yeah, I know that is pretty likely. Quick in chat, Tim says, what are we going to do with our free time now? Jamie missed the party. Be sure to watch it back, Jamie. Always good to see you in chat. We appreciate you. He said, shows how much an owner can impact a team. Yes, absolutely. Starts from the top, and we are absolutely so excited. Future's bright. Steve, final thoughts for conference championship weekend.
Yeah, no, just, obviously fun and exciting as a Washington fan, but yeah, the season went by way too quick. I do think the most likely thing will be Bills, Eagles. I think the Bills can do it. I think they can upset the Chiefs.
I think that would be a fun game. What was it? 2 years ago? We got a really high. No, it was last year in the rain. We got like a 34-30 battle.
Yeah.
Oh, I did hear this, Jamie. Did you know Barkley's birthday is February 9th, the same day as the Super Bowl? Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
Is this dude going to single-handedly just rejuvenate the running back spot? Because if they win it all, he's probably winning MVP. Now every team in the league's got to look around and go, we really need an elite running back.
Yeah. Aren't the votes in already, though? When
Yeah,
do the votes have
are in?
No, for Super Bowl MVP.
Oh, Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, he's not winning MVP.
No, right. Yeah,
that's like, probably Josh Allen's, regardless of what happens. But
right. Okay. Super Bowl MVP. Yeah, absolutely. Which you can bet those now, correct?
Yeah, he's around 5-1.
Okay. Yeah. So
the other thing I'll say with the Bills, Chiefs are. It can be a lot of pressure to going for the three-peat. It's why other great teams have not done it before in the past. So, and the Bills, if not for a Tyler Bass missed field goal and Stephon Diggs missing a beautiful pass by Allen,
last year,
they wouldn't have gotten to the Super Bowl last year because Bills would beat them in the divisional round. So I think Bills can go in and get the win. It should be a great game though. I'm hoping for a great game, and obviously some way Washington, squeak it out. But I think Philly with Hurts, you look at the 5 quarters Philly played with Hurts versus Washington, and it's been no contest. So
hopefully it's a fun one. Hopefully it's a fun one. We're just going to enjoy it. And hopefully, as batters, let's make some money. We have one more comment. Is Mahomes under 25.5 rushing something you like? I'm never going to bet on his under, though. His over, I don't think it didn't hit last week because I tried it. His over historically does very well in postseason. I'll say that. And if you think if they win, you could lose on kneel downs. I know that whole thing. Didn't get there last week, but I do think it gets there this week. So I would be more interested in the over than the under. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I think the only way it doesn't hit is if Chiefs somehow get out to a big lead early and it's just catch up mode, and then
and they're playing pretty conservative.
But in the competitive game or them being behind, I think he's going to.
He and Allen are both just going to run. Chicken with their head cut off, do whatever they can. So I think we're going to get a fun weekend, guys. My final thoughts. I think we're going to get a fun weekend. I think we had a lot of fun kind of alts, touchdowns, parlays, different looks. Again, we will tweet out the show one. Everything that we land on will be in Dub Club. So check it out. Stick with us through the Super Bowl. We're going to have plenty of Super Bowl content, and stick with us next week. If you're like me and Steve and Tyler, and you're having problems coping with the non-football season, we'll get in the best ball streets because it's coming in like a week or two, and we will start best ball content next week. So stay with us. We appreciate you guys. For Tyler, for Steve, I'm Meg. Good luck this weekend. Let's make some money, and we'll see you next week.